everybody. I want to welcome you to the Brooklyn Society for Ethical Culture. That's what this building is. And today we just have the honor of just celebrating and congratulating Michelle Alerte on her first novel, A Promise Worth Making. And so Michelle is going to read to us.
So this is about a doctor who is Haitian. Her name is Dr. Rochelle Joseph. And she is a pediatrician, and she is heading to Haiti. She has never met her family. She's an orphan, and she finally discovers that she's of Haitian descent. She's heading to Haiti during the wake of the earthquake to help and things like that where she can. And she meets a very sexy gentleman on the airplane on her way there, and he's an architect named Nicolas Marchand. He's French, and so that is what is happening. All right. So, yep, let me just set myself. Okay, good. So I'll start with the prologue. Rochelle stood by the heavy oak door, leaning into where it rested slightly ajar. Brett Butler had been the last to walk in and had left it this way, a habit she'd noticed during her 2-month stay with his family. His habit, which seemed to encourage accidentally walking in on him, along with the creepy looks he'd been giving her, had been the reason Rochelle had started acting up. This was what you wanted, Rochelle reminded herself. Now, standing by the open door, she could hear the adults talking within. April Butler explained why they were returning her, why staying in their home simply wouldn't work. Having played out this same scene 5 times before, Rochelle tried to keep her face blank, her emotions in check, but felt her heart twist in her chest at the words. She'd liked April. The 5th house had required a similar escape plan to the Butlers. Rochelle frowned down at her blossoming 12-year-old chest. She no longer looked like a teenage boy, but her taller-than-average height paired with her developing body was causing her grief. An image of her 5th foster father flashed in her mind, David Martin, demanding that she dress and undress with him in the room to make sure she wasn't stealing anything, of course. There was always a valid reason behind his actions, but the feel of his narrow eyes playing over her naked skin still sent a fresh shudder through her. She'd gotten out of there fast, and knowing what to look for had saved her this time around when Brett had started leaving the bathroom and bedroom doors open. The wide-eyed innocence hadn't been enough to disguise the occasional flash of David Martin behind the facade. Rochelle tuned back in to catch the end of April's sentence. Lovely, but her behavior is unmanageable. Damn right unmanageable. With a shake of her head, Rochelle faded away from the door and reclaimed her seat in one of the 2 wicker chairs in the hallway that acted as a waiting area. She could hear the drone of voices, but she'd heard enough. They were leaving her here, and for that, she was grateful. At least she knew what to expect. Not love exactly, but quiet, peace. No reason to look over her shoulder every 5 minutes. After a little while, the door pushed open, and the Butler family streamed out, looking calm and happy. The perfect family unit. 2 little brown-haired girls, the spitting image of their mother, and their tall, blonde-headed father walking behind, full of confidence. Rochelle shifted back in her seat, letting the shadows swallow her so she became invisible. She saw Brett look around as though determined to search her out one last time. Rochelle pulled in a deep breath and held it, wanting to disappear completely. Finally, the Butlers walked out the door, April and the Home for Girls manager, Anita, still speaking in low tones. Anita stood at the door for a moment, staring out, and Rochelle pictured the Butlers climbing into their navy blue BMW for the trip home. "So, you're back again, huh?" Anita spoke, and Rochelle glanced up to find the woman's eyes trained in her direction. Rochelle shrugged. "You'll never find a family if you keep acting like the very devil everywhere you go, Rochelle," Anita said calmly. They'd done this enough times that there wasn't a whole lot more to say. Rochelle stood. "There won't be another family." Hearing the words, Rochelle realized it was true. She didn't need a family. She'd been taking care of herself for 12 years. What did she need someone for now? As she followed Anita through the house, toward the stairs and the rooms above, her shoes making a light clicking sound on the hardwood floor, Rochelle made a promise to herself. "I take care of myself from now on. I'll never reach for the dream of a family. I'll never let anyone in so they can turn around and hurt me." Rochelle felt the eyes of the other orphan girls tracking her as Anita led the way to the room she'd been sharing. Keeping her head straight and her breath steady, Rochelle repeated the pledge to herself over and over and managed just barely to keep the tears at bay. This was one promise she intended to keep. Chapter 1.